All right, welcome to Weasel of Wall Street's first ever instructional video. Today we're going to be taking a look at wave theory in its simplest form. So, wave theory to start, it's all about the impulse waves. So the waves go up and down, and that's just the way stocks go. Impulse waves usually travel in 5 parts. So they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. There's a couple rules that kind of govern these over every other little rule we'll talk about as we go. Basically, long short story is on an impulse, there will always be these 5 parts. Wave 2, its lowest point, can never come more than 100% past wave 1's start point. So if this ever gets below where the 0 is, down in this area, it's invalid, and we'd have to start our count again. The other one that's an important rule on the downside is wave 4. Wave 4 here, when it starts coming down, it can't get below wave 1. As soon as it crosses over any of the prices involved in wave 1, that is now an invalid wave, so the whole thing will have to cross it all out and start again. The other rule is for wave 3, which is usually the longest one. This is where you'll make your most money, I guess, in a short amount of time. If you, for whatever reason, see this not being the longest one, don't worry. It just can't be the shortest one by a rule. So you could get like like a little stubby kind of one that's shorter than 1 here, and you might get 4 down here. 5, as long as it is short as well and makes, in whatever way possible, this one just cannot be the shortest one. So if it did this, that would be invalid. But if it did something like this before it went down, then wave 3 is still good. But that's kind of a intricacy you don't always see. So for simplicity, wave 3 is usually the long one, and that's the one that you're going to make most of your money. So those are kind of the 3 main rules. And the fourth one that I like to use as well, that I've understood, is anytime wave 5 ends, if you're not sure where this whole impulse will end, it's always going to end in a momentum change, which would mean a downturn. So after we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this whole 1 push, there will be a correction. And the correction usually comes in 3 parts. So we'll call that ABC. So it starts at 5 and it would come down, up, and down. If you want to see the line, something like that. There's some lots of rules about how ABC can work. Way too much. I don't follow all of them myself. It's kind of hard to measure, hard to predict. Just know that after 5, there almost always is an expected 1, 2, 3 correction somewhere, and you might end up getting these ABCs linked to each other. Like you might end up getting like another ABC and another one and another one and another one until it finally breaks out into its next pattern. That's one way you might see it, but it could also change direction if the entire stock's changing. Like the company's going bankrupt or whatever, and you might get like a full 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming down, but very, very far down the road. We don't have to worry about that yet. So let's just work on understanding the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and how it works. So we'll take Fubo here as an example, and we're going to talk about the retracement and the extension of that Fibonacci sequence that kind of rules this theory. So what we're going to look at is we'll just get this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll get this one up here just for a quick sec. And usually when you're measuring these waves, they fall into a ratio of these equations on the Fibonacci's. So we can measure it by using these Fibonacci retracement as the first thing. So retracement is to understand how far back wave 2 will come and how far back wave 4 will come. So the way you measure this is you would start at the bottom or the start of the impulse down here, and you would measure up to the top of 1, the peak of wave 1. So if I drag it across but hold that line, you'll see this blue area. This is what I would consider the buy zone. Usually, if it's a perfect world, this will come down. It has to come over top of 50%. to really buy my confidence, but it does go at that 0.382, 38% of this wave, it'll come back down. More likely it's going to come to this 618. So that's kind of a common one you see. So it'll go up and then retraced down 61% of this entire wave's height. So when you see that, that's usually an indication that it's going to start, thinking about moving to its next area. And this could, consolidate. This wave 2, could be way over here. Like sometimes it takes a while for the wave 2 to go, but usually wave 2 is kind of sharper, a little bit more corrective before it blasts off. So then if we look at how to figure out a price point or the extension on the Fibonacci, we'll do the same kind of an idea. We'll get our tool for trend-based Fibonacci extension. And we would measure from the bottom of 1 to the top of 1. And then we would pull down to the bottom of 2. So when we for sure know 2 has a bottom, you can click on that wave, obviously, to measure. If you're still not sure if it's still coming down, you're just trying to take a wild guess, you can just use the bottom, that 618 level on the box as your measurement. So click 1, click 2, and then we'll click down at the bottom of 2 here. And if we drag it across just so the box lines up at the top, you'll see 2 more ratios, 1 representing 100%. So that would be the entire length of 1. And 1.618 representing 161%. So that's like the big push that you get. So wave 3 usually comes up to this sort of an area. I'm just going to move this over so it's easy to see there. So after we've done our retracement, that 161.8 is where we're going to go to. So this green box is what I would call my price targets. As I understand it, algorithms like banking algorithms, they would go and start selling at that 100% retracement mark and then sell all the way through this box before it starts to come down. So you can trim a little bit here and get your money back and then ride it up to the top. You can sell more there or exit completely, depending on how you want to play it. But that's kind of the price projection. Then understanding how far wave 4 comes down, same idea that we did down here. We're just going to focus more so on the 382 percentage. So we're curious about the retracement on 3. So we'll start by clicking at the bottom of 3 to the top of 3, but we're going to pull it over just so we can see the box like that. And usually 4 will retrace down to that 382 level here somewhere. 4 tends to stretch out longer than that 2. 2 is like that sharp corrective wave. 4 kind of sometimes does one of these or like one of these sideways before it wants to go up. And then wave 5 is basically easy measurement. It's usually, as I understand it, just the height of wave 1. So that height there. So if I take a line tool, I'll click on the top of 1 and pull down to the base of 1, that height. And then I'll just take that bar over here and put it right on top of, maybe a little higher, but there, let's say, put it on top of that 382 because that's where we expect wave 4 to bounce. And then I would expect 5 to stop somewhere there. So my ultimate price target would be this sort of 53 area that you see over here, 55. Before I would maybe expect that correction either sideways or down or whatever, but the impulse trend could change at this point is what I'm getting at. Usually the angle of 1 tends to be sort of like that one, and these tend to be parallel a little bit. But it's, there's so many little intricacies, but just long story short, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and retracing there. So with all that in mind, let's remove all this. Wait, no, remove drawings. There we go. Okay, so now we'll look at like a live chart and kind of like see if this makes sense on Fubo that we just bought. So first of all, I don't like the smooth one. I find it easier to read with the candles, this setting. So you get all these candlesticks. Green ones are up days, red ones are down days. So first thing you want to do, I look for the first impulse that goes up. So you can see like Fubo's kind of been flat for a long time, nothing really happening. But I would say like maybe like this could just be like a blip or whatever, but right here is where I would say it really started to find upward trend. So I would first think that it kind of looks like wave one would be starting here, wave two would be coming down, and then wave three ultimately going up. So I would kind of look to maybe apply just like a loose wave on top to see if it makes sense. So one going up to here, two down to our lowest point, and then we'll fill this in later, but 3, 4, 5, like that. So I'm curious to know about this like retracement for one. So I would put the bottom of one, I would click and I would pull it over so it's easy to see, and I would go up to the top of one. So it's with the same price there, and we get our blue sort of like buy zone, as I would call it. So we were talking about that 618, so it's retraced down like right in that area a little bit deeper. Sometimes it it can be on either side obviously, but either way it spent a reasonable amount of time here inside of our buy zone before starting its projection up. So that's a pretty good sign that it's broken out and it's starting to move up, and it's going to retry for its sort of 62 area where it was before. There's, obviously some interest in it. So the next thing I would do is maybe look for how high I think 3 could go, if potentially this was indeed the bottom of 2 by this retracement, including this 1, 2, where's 3 want to go. So I would measure that with the extension tool, bottom of 1, top of 1, and I would bring it down so I could see it, but we're lining up right here with the bottom of wave 2, and we get our green box there for price targets. So it's measuring the extension of this wave set here. So now we can look up. Maybe just pull that over so it's easy to see, but again, holding that one there. And we get this kind of a setup. So our 100% retracement of 1 is $75.98. So as the math goes, it looks like it would go all the way up to that 1618 as it does usually in the theory. So over $100 we're looking long run. So you see it's kind of up on this angle. So I don't know, I would just loosely project it on top just for ballparking, but obviously we have to track this as the days go. Then we'll complete our 3, 4, 5 like that. So it looks like it is going up. I don't really care about the projection down here and the ultimate target just quite yet. A lot of time has to go in between here and there to really give us an idea what's going to happen. So what I would then kind of look for is maybe to validate some of the waves themselves. So this is where it's like inception. It's like waves within waves within waves. So within wave 1, theoretically there should be 5 waves, just like the big one that we're mapping out. So you can kind of zoom in to check that out and see how valid it is. Like this you can go to the 5-minute chart and really zoom in, but just like a loose look, you can see like, 1, we had like a spike to the top here. 2 maybe was this down to the bottom here. 3 was this longer run up to here. 4 maybe would be down to here, let's say, and 5 up here. Like just for fun, we'll map it out just so you can see it on the chart. We'll change the colors and the style so it's easy to read. But we can get in there and really measure this out if you want, but we'll change this to orange, and we'll get rid of the line so it's easy. And we'll look at it something like that. Actually, and we'll also make it minuscule. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that one looks loosely to validate to me. And then just to take a look at the ABC, the correction that we were talking about, you can map it out. So after 5, there's always a correction by the rule. So this is the top of 5 within 1. So our correction comes here. So we would start at the top of 1, and it looks like I would say we have maybe like an A, like a big downfall here, and then maybe a B up to here, and then maybe like a C to here or something. Like, I mean, it may be a little more zoomed in, you could do the same thing, but long story short, you see like an A, B, C sort of thing. And usually after an ABC, it'll show you another ABC, or it'll start a projected wave. So I think it's the reason why we added more this week is I think it's on the way up and out. It's last week and this week left our buy zone at that $42. So I'm looking at this now to see if it's kind of following some sort of a wave within wave 3, because just like 1 has 5 parts to it, 3 will also have 5 parts. So we can kind of see if we're on track. Starting, like I would say this is the first push, so we'll start at the bottom. And I would kind of map 1 going up to here, 2 to here. Like this is still all in an uptrend, so 3 could be like, I don't know, here, 4 here, maybe 5 here, just rough guess. And maybe 5 would be up in our first price target before it would ABC, before going up to our ultimate $100 target. But loose, rough guess. For fun, if we zoom just a little bit in, let's do the Fibonacci retracement just on this wave pattern here to see if we're on track. So we'll do that same retracement, start at the start of our impulse, measure up to the top of 1 and pull it over. And look at that, it goes 1, 2, and the retracement lands exactly on that 39.69 just about before pushing off to going upwards. So you can kind of see how there's waves within waves. I guess that's the easiest way I can kind of explain the whole wave theory thing real quick and applying it to a chart. Hopefully this wasn't too wordy and it was pretty clear. Go get 'em, Tigers. Weasel of Wall Street. Why oh why loss?